We've been talking about Ant-Man on this show for a very, 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 very long time, largely because I just find him to be delightful, also because he cold as hell. But the other part, and Sean, like, I wonder how this resonates with you, because we got a little generational difference in this. I don't know for you guys. Like, are you an actual Zoomer?
No, I think I'm technically a millennial.
Okay, but you over there, you close. Yeah, y'all are like,
Sure. Yeah,
they there.
yeah.
Like, you know. Like, have you reached a point yet where stuff happens there? You be like, yo, I'm a little bit too old for that. Like, have you gotten to that place
all the
with
time?
the Zoomers?
Yeah.
Okay. Just trying to get comfortable and get a gauge on, where exactly you at. But anyway, Ant-Man wants it. Like, he absolutely 100% wants it, and he enjoys talking shit to these people. He enjoys getting in their face. They said at the end, I'm playing against my favorite player. Talking about Kevin Durant, he said he's playing against his favorite player, and he got to talk a little to him and let him know that he sent him home. His wiring on this is, I'm going to show honor to my hero by putting his dusty ass out of here.
Which they don't really make them like that anymore. Like, that kind of dog mentality is rare to find.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, are there perhaps more of these laying around and we just don't know because they not in the right places or not under the right circumstances? But he was out there. Like, I kind of wish it didn't happen against Phoenix, because Phoenix got a few too many guys who take that in stride. I want to see somebody be mad about it, right? Not because I think they should. Oh, actually, I do think they should be mad about it. This dude was hitting them bars with that thing right there, and they was just a little bit too amused by it. Like, somebody got, I mean, that's a big dude. I don't know if you really want to fight him, but somebody got to be a little bothered, a little miffed, one would think, under those circumstances. But I want to throw something out here. I've seen this come up on the internet a lot. And it is, when Anthony Edwards was in the pre-draft process, a question that was asked by a lot of scouts was whether or not he really wanted it. Like, what was his level of motivation? Like, what was his investment in basketball? Right? That was the question they asked about him. And of course, that looks like a silly question to ask now because he so clearly seems to have it. But it is worth noting that in the pre-draft process, Steve Kerr told the boy that you wasn't working hard enough, and Anthony Edwards took that to heart. Like, who knows how much all those things matter? But on one level, it is they're so silly. They thought that Anthony Edwards didn't want it. But on the other hand, does this not demonstrate why that question is important? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, now that you've seen this dude out here and you see how his game is fueled by the fact that he so clearly wants it. Like, do you see why that matters? Why that's something that has to come up, right? Or something that you want to have come up out there. You gotta have somebody out there that just wants to demolish people, that wants to devour folks. He is that guy, and it just so happens that he's that guy with incredible physical skills, but he is. And this is not like a technical thing. This isn't about how well he plays for Minnesota, their postseason future. We got plenty of time to talk about this. Sean, just curious, like, coming up, who's your favorite player?
I grew up idolizing Tracy McGrady. That was my favorite player for a really long time.
What was it about him?
The way he scores, physicality, aggressiveness, kind of like, I can score on anyone. Similar reasons why I love Carmelo. And, Ant kind of fills that bubble as well.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. It's kind of like, there's something about how them kind of players make you feel, right?
Yeah, it's just like, it's like exciting to watch.
Yeah, but the feeling part is important. Something I've talked about, especially since we brought the show over here to Wade, that I really wanted to lean in more in the way that I look at all this stuff. Like, we end this because of how we feel, right? And there's something about a dude like Anthony Edwards. That's a dude that becomes somebody's favorite player. It doesn't matter if he's the greatest player of all time. Like, I was talking to my man Kravitz on the phone before we were doing this, and he's like, I think Edwards has moved into that top 5. And maybe that's the case, but I feel like he's the type of player where, it doesn't matter if he's in the all-the-time top 5 because he's in the big moment top 5. Like Isaiah Thomas, the OG Isaiah Thomas. I don't know if he was a top 5 player that era at 6'1", but he was the top 5 when it mattered, dude. And that's what Edwards is showing himself to be, is a top 5 when it matters dude. But it ain't even about how good he is. It's about how you feel when you watch a dude like that, right? Like, when you watch the way he moves when he's got the ball. When you watch, it is coming up to 2 minutes left. Y'all got a 2-point lead, and Kevin Durant's down there, and I forget who else it is, and I'm going to lean and bang on y'all right now in this moment that matters. You know how that feels when you see it. And that's the dude where if I was still 10, 11 years old, that's the poster that you want on the wall. Specifically, that play, that picture, that's the poster. That's what you want to see. That's the reason why, by and large, we get into this in the first place and we watch these games and we enjoy these things, right? And look, I know it seems easy to go into it was better when I was young sort of thing, right? And that's not really the place that I try to go to when I talk about this stuff. But I do recognize this, that as we've added more money and more levels to this game, we've changed up the incentives, why it is that people love this and the people who play it and what they are in it for and the types of games that they play and whatever it is, right? Those things have changed. There is something that is very throwback about somebody like Edwards because it looks like he really, really cares, right? And I think that this league, it's interesting because this league has spent decades or did spend decades with people continually questioning the work ethics of of its players, whether or not anybody cared, And, that was always the rap. It was very racially based, obviously, but that was always the rap on the NBA. Let me tell you something. This doesn't get discussed nearly enough. They beat the allegations on a lot of that stuff. Like a lot of the things that we used to hear about the NBA when we were younger and people talk about why they didn't watch it and everything else. You don't hear that stuff anymore. You don't hear people going out of their way to talk about how nobody plays defense anymore. You don't hear people talk about how they don't try hard or how they don't care. You don't hear that anymore as a part of the larger discourse on the NBA. However, it's wild because you seem to see fewer dudes who so obviously and clearly want it. And one thing I do recognize now as I've gotten to this age and as I watch and I think more about the way sports goes, what we really want to see above all else is people who want it. That's the most compelling thing. That is the secret sauce that makes this go, is looking out there and knowing that these dudes want it. And with the Ant-Man, we got a dude who want it. And also, bless his heart. Sean, do you have siblings?
I'm an only child.
Okay. I am the youngest in my family, but I'm youngest by a lot. All right. I can't imagine being the little brother, but also having to be the big brother. And bless the Ant-Man, because look at this.
I mean, again,
let me just say, tonight he wasn't in foul trouble. Like the first 3 games, the motherfucker just kept fouling. And tonight, I told him, what did I tell you last game?
He said, "Yo, can you find a way not to foul him?" I said, "I'm gonna try."
Like if you watch the game, every time in the third quarter when we would grow a lead, it's because he's in the game, because they don't have a matchup for him. I'm like, Cat, we're not gonna win game 4 if you foul. I told him yesterday, we're not gonna win game 4 if you keep fouling. You keep fouling. And you see what he did in the third quarter. You see what he did in the fourth quarter. Like he's like I always tell you, he's the best offensive player on the team. Like if he's not in foul trouble, it's a problem for any team that got a guard us because he can stretch the floor, he can post, he can play off the catch, he can pass. I mean, he can do everything. So we just got to keep him from getting in foul trouble, and he's gonna be great every night.
If I told you the guy on the right was 5 years older than the guy on the left, Sean, I'm just saying, you never believe it. I'm not trying to. Not now. I'm not doing it right now. I'll maybe do it later. Okay, but not now. But he's big brother in this, very clearly.
I love the classic older brother move of like, he's clearly shitting on Cat, being like, you got to stop fouling, but brings it back of like, but we can't win without you in the game. You're doing all this great stuff. And I'm just like, wow, he really is the older brother there.
Hold on. He told him later in the clip, quote, "Quit fucking fouling." Like in front of everybody, in front of God and the media and everybody, he told him, "Quit fucking fouling." Right? He is Carl Towns' big brother. Carl also, by the way, used 2 different voices in that same conversation at the table. He's been pretty good this series. I just don't like what he stands for, guys. I don't like what he represents. I understand this. I love what Ant-Man represents, and Ant-Man seemed to be bringing him into the place they need to be. Think about this, Sean. They brought Kevin Garnett in there to be Karl Towns' big brother, and I guess that year didn't quite take. But Anthony Edwards came in there. Anthony Edwards be taking questions for him, and what looks more like a big brother than sitting up there with an undershirt out the pack with 2 earrings and a baseball cap, while your man's over there like. No, I don't want to say that because that sounds bad. Every example of what I want to say that looks like would perhaps seem to be racially derogatory to some people. But I am saying the big brother in the undershirt out the pack, which is what I'm calling him now because I don't think we can call him what we used to call him. I feel like that's an inappropriate term. I don't know if we've had a public reckoning about what we call the tank top undershirt out the pack. But he in the tank top undershirt out the pack, while Karl Towns is over there dressed in like full clothes. Like, that's what happens with somebody, like daddy got a raise in between these 2 kids. Like, you know what it looked like? That's what it looked like. It looked like they brothers, but Anthony Anderson lived with baby mama number 1. And Karl Towns lived with baby mama number 2, who daddy did actually married. Like, that is visually what that picture looked like right there with those 2 dudes. But congrats to Minnesota. They gonna wind up playing Denver in all likelihood. I can't wait for that series. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with playoff basketball and hockey entries today on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Prize Picks is really simple to play, and you can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So make sure you go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.